Welcome to Curious Goldfish, a podcast community where music and curiosity come together through interesting conversations with the music makers of our world. I'm your host, Jason English. You can find Curious Goldfish in all the major podcast and social media platforms, and of course, we have all of our content on our website, curiousgoldfish.com. Erin Gibney, I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So I have a lot of questions. I just want to get right to it. So what do you think is more awkward?
Okay.
Kissing a coworker or kissing a friend?
You know, I have to go with the coworker on this one because the friend you can get around. If you don't want to see the friend, you don't have to see the friend. You have to see the coworker. You have to look them in the eyes every single day, and it feels even more awkward than you can possibly imagine. So I'm gonna go coworker.
Coworker. Have you kissed a coworker?
I have, and I deeply regretted it. Just to be clear.
All right, good. All right. So on this stream, icks. What's your ick?
You know, I could go the classic like tennis ball route. You know, like when you're playing pong and you watch a guy chase a tennis ball. That's a pretty classic one. But for me, this one's pretty typical too. I think hygiene. If you don't have good hygiene, I'm sorry, or you have like a dirty apartment or like a dirty place.
Right.
Number one ick. I think that would steer me away pretty quickly for sure.
Okay. Do you have anecdotes that you've?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
Anything comes to mind?
You know, I think it's just the classic, like you date guys in college, and guys in college are notoriously messy. It really should be studied, truly. And I remember I saw this guy actually shortly after college, and it wasn't even just the room that was a mess, the whole house. I mean, we're talking dishes piled up, food left there for days. Not a cute look for me. No, not cute.
To be honest, I don't know how women do it, to be honest. Because like especially guys in college, that's like the worst. That's the worst stage of life for a guy,
Totally.
In terms of cleanliness.
Totally, and we have to battle that every day. So I appreciate you recognizing it.
Okay. Well, I'm old now, so it's like life. It's life lessons basically.
Right.
All right. A couple more questions on the dating thing because I'm just curious because you're out there. Some of the music has been inspired by some experiences, right?
Totally.
It sounds like you're dating somebody, which is great. What's your big green flag and what's a big red flag for you?
So I actually just told this like little anecdote on my TikTok a few days ago.
Okay.
It has not made it to Instagram yet, but it will this week. So my now boyfriend, on our second date, I went over to his house. He cooked me like spaghetti and meatballs, right? And he asked me who like my closest people in Nashville were, like who my best friends were. And I was living with my best friend in the entire world at the time, Sarah. And as I was leaving his apartment, he gave me a Tupperware and he said, "This is dinner for Sarah." And I remember being like, that was a really good move. That was a green flag to me. I was like, okay. One, he remembered her name, which that can be rare too. And two, he made my roommate dinner. I was like, score. So that was a green flag. Red flags.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Red flags. I got a lot of them. Red flag. I would say one, going back to the friend thing. I think if your friends don't like the person that you're dating, in most scenarios, I think sometimes that can fly. But at least in my case, the people that my friends have not liked have been the wrong people for me. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So their instinct.
Their instinct.
Okay. One more question. So friend zone, is friend zone, can a guy ever get out of the friend zone?
That's tough. You know, I think he can with grit and perseverance.
Fortitude and tenacity.
Right. But it is rare. So you really have to work hard for that.
I mean, it is something.
It is something. Because I think if you initially put someone in the friend zone and you're putting them in the category of I cannot see a relationship with you, to rewire your brain into I can see a relationship with you, I think is very difficult.
Here's the problem though. So I've been dating a little bit as a middle-aged person, and the last couple of years, it's hard because you want to be the guy that's like considerate and kind of there for the person or whatever. And it's kind of bullshit, if I can just say it. If a woman, you know, I won't say take advantage of you, but like loves to go to the concerts with you,
Fair.
and loves to go out, and you're just like, okay, like I'll do this, like when, you know, until the time's right. And then it's never right because you're in the zone.
Friend zone.
Yeah.
You're in the friend zone. You know, there is something to be said about that. I think that there are people out there that definitely take advantage of the friend zone. They exist for sure. But I think when you meet someone and, you know, you do all the nice things that, say, a friend would do. Like, you go to the concert, it's like you do the thing, but there's a romantic element involved. Like, that's the perfect storm. Right. Like, that's when the relationship, like, really thrives because, one, you are friends. I think being in a relationship, right, you have to be friends with your partner. And two, you have the romantic aspect of it as well. So it's hard, but it is possible.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for
you got it.
You know, letting me go there. Sorry. So we're here in Nashville. You moved here to go to school at Belmont, right?
Yes.
But you're from New England.
Yes, I am. Connecticut.
Has the music thing always been kind of in you know, in your heart, in your brain?
It has. My dad was a guitar player growing up, and I remember seeing him and being really enticed by music. And it wasn't until I was like midway through middle school years, which is a treacherous time, that I kind of looked at singing and writing and kind of put the two together and realized that it was definitely an interest of mine. And ever since then, I did this like little pageant in my hometown, and I sang "Make You Feel My Love" by Bob Dylan. Okay. And ever since I walked on that stage, I've not walked off since. Okay. I've loved it ever since. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. How was it going to school here? I guess I assume it was like, was it music business?
Yes. Yeah.
How was it being in Nashville going to school? Like, was it actually I interviewed Lauren Lucas. She's a songwriter teacher at Belmont, and I think it's just fascinating that you have the opportunity to come to school in Music City. I guess, you know, what was that experience, what you had hoped it was going to be?
It was. You know, for a while, my parents were really adamant on me going to college. But of course, at 18, I was like, I don't want to do this. And, you know, looking back now, it was so valuable to me, and it really taught me so much. And it gave me the privilege of being in Music City at such a young age. I don't think I would have gotten that if I had not gone to Belmont. And so that was a gift because it really taught me about the industry. It taught me about Nashville, and I fell in love with it. And I absolutely love the city, and I love what Belmont gave me. Okay.
So what's interesting about you, among other things, is, you know, I talked to a lot of artists that are kind of on the, as the kids say, on the come up, or, you know, trying to get to a spot where, you know, they've quote unquote made it, which I think is that's kind of a ghost to chase, right?
Right.
But you have something what they don't have, which is a very significant social media following.
Thank you.
Right? Because they're like dying for a follower, you know, like they go, they do these gigs where it's, you know, 10 people or 30 people, and, you know, they're peddling the merch and they're trying to get the followers. And so they're just trying to get to that status. What's cool about you is like, you've got that platform now. I guess how have you strategized around using that to, you know, kind of to promote the music and the art and like your career in that?
Yeah, I know. It's honestly been a really seamless process. And I think that's because for me, I love to talk. I could talk all day long to a wall even. And so I love to talk. I think I have a very common, you know, human woman experience. I grew up, you know, in the suburbs. I've dated the wrong guy. I've dated the right guy. I've had best friends. I've had ex-best friends. And so I think for me, a lot of the motivation behind at least posting that kind of content was just to connect with other people, and to connect with people who have had my same experience. And so connecting that to the music, my songs talk about the exact same thing. Right. And they rehash those same exact experiences that I'm already talking about online, which I think has helped me close that gap of influencer or, you know, online presence and musician, you know?
Yeah. And I've read somewhere too that you're at the point, and I'm curious as to like what triggered this, that you're kind of like, screw everybody else. I'm going to do what I want to do and say what I want to say. Right.
100%. I think for a really long time I've been in this town. I moved here right after I turned 18.
Right.
So this is my 7th year in Nashville. And I think when I first moved here, I was really timid and I didn't want to speak my voice. I knew I had one and I was just scared to say it and to show it. And I think as I've, really settled into adulthood and into my 20s, I've realized I like what I have to say. Yeah. I like who I am. I like my, my beliefs and my stance on things, that it doesn't scare me anymore to be who I am. And it doesn't scare me to be who I am, to the public and online,
Okay. Where do you think you are as an artist and where do you want to be?
Oh gosh, where I am as an artist, I think right now, my main focus has just been the writing and the music. And I went on my first tour this summer, which was amazing. I guess my first headlining tour. And I think right now, seeing the response to the music that I've been putting out has been different than it has been before. And that's been really exciting. And I think for me, where I want to be is so classic. I want people to hear my music. I want it to be all over. And I want, this to be, a career for me that's sustainable, but also long term. And so I think for me, I don't want to rush that. I think, good things, things that last take time. And so I'm not in any rush to make that happen tomorrow. But I know that the perseverance of it, the keeping with it will eventually lead to that outcome.
Okay. You've released, I don't know how many singles in the last 18 months or whatever. I guess what's the thinking behind that other than not doing like an album? There's people do different things, right? I guess, was that just something like, hey, we're just going to drop something every few months or whatever and see where it goes? Yeah,
I think for me, it kind of goes back to that. I just want to be to my own drum right now and do what feels right. And for me, I feel so deeply for all of these songs. And I think the fear for me with releasing an album was I don't want any single one to get lost, Oh, okay. I don't want any single one to fall under the radar because I do feel so passionately about them. And I think that's why right now, at least, I've liked releasing singles because it gives every single song in my catalog life and, some breath. And I think eventually, of course, I will lean into that album. I think right now, at this point in my career, I like the single. Yeah. I like releasing the single. I like promoting the single. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. So the two I want to talk about is the most recent one, Kryptonite, and then the new one that will be out end of October. So Kryptonite, I'm assuming that's another relationship sort of song.
Yes, it is.
So is this, what, by the way, what happened in the breakup?
Yeah, no, this one, I'm going to look straight to the camera when I say this. I kissed my guy best friend. I did it, folks. I really did, and would not recommend to another friend. But I had gotten out of a long-term relationship a couple years ago, a relationship of 5 years. And so when I got out of that, I felt a lot of freedom, a little too much freedom, I would say. And I got out of it. And it's funny how different you kind of see your previous guy best friends when you're out of a relationship, because you just never really consider that your relationship could ever be that way, when you're seeing someone else. And I think I had a particular friend from my hometown that I kissed on Christmas Eve, and it did not go well. It did not. We kissed, and it was a very beautiful moment. And I have a lot of love and respect for him, but I think our relationship wasn't meant to withstand something like that, and it didn't withstand it. And so I think Kryptonite was that feeling of like, I'm in this moment that I can appreciate, and I can appreciate how great this is right now, but I know that this is going to blow up in my face, and it did. And I think that when I wrote that song, it was after the fact, and I think I knew what was going to happen in the moment, and I did it anyways, and that's my cross to bear.
All right, well, that's life. Are you sure that the coworker is the more awkward?
I say that.
Yeah.
I say the coworker is worse because I live in Nashville, and my guy best friend lives in Connecticut.
Oh, so it's easy for you.
So the minute that it blew up in my face, I was on a plane out of there. I was like, all right.
No, that's good. What happened with because you know some of the press materials that have come out with the singles with your first big breakup behind you, you know, it's like in your rearview mirror, like what happened on that? Is that the friend?
No, so I was in a relationship for 5 years, high school sweetheart.
Okay, that's the 5-year one.
Yes, that's the 5 year long. The Exit Signs is actually about that breakup. And it was one of those classic things of, you know, you're so young, you fall in love with someone, you change. And of course, at 18, you never think you're going to change as much as you do in your 20s, and you do. Right. And I changed so much, and I grew so much as a person, and I think we both outgrew that relationship. I think the breakup was a little more one-sided, but I felt confident in my decision, and I felt a lot of relief when I made that decision.
Okay. The next single is going to be a song called By June, and it's I've had the chance to preview that before the release, which is great. It's beautiful. What's interesting about that song, though, I think it's alluding to the fact of kind of how silly it is to put a deadline or a time frame around getting over a relationship.
Totally.
Is that the gist?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's so funny, the whole time heals everything, you know, cliche. It is true. It's completely true. But of course, when you're sitting in the middle of heartbreak, you're like, okay, well, what does that time look like? You know, months, weeks, days. What does that look like? Because how long can I withstand, you know, this type of heartbreak? And I think it's really scary when you're living in it. And I think then when you look back on it, you're like, oh, wow, you know, every month did get easier. Oh, wow, you know, every day did get easier. And so that's kind of what By June is about. Yeah.
Well, I think it works both ways, too. It's like people can judge. They can say, well, it's been 3 months or it's been 6 months. Like, shouldn't you be over it? It's like, well, that person's kind of going through their thing.
Totally.
And it also works the other way. It's like, well, if someone moves on faster, like, more power to them.
Right.
Like, they shouldn't be judged either, right?
Right. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
No, I think healing is so personal, and it's different for everyone. And moving on from a relationship, you know, you put so much love and care and attention into it, to growing it and to building it, that healing from it, it's not linear, and there is no timeline on it, you know.
Yeah. Do you have a job outside of music?
I do social media.
So it's the social media.
Yeah, it's social media.
Tell me about that racket. Like that, is it as like lucrative as it seems to be for some people?
It was not for me for a really long time. Yeah. I would say I didn't really know how to navigate it. And that has only, I would say, come to me in the last year. Okay. I signed with a team in LA, an influencer management team.
There's a whole team.
Yeah, and they've really helped me just kind of navigate the world of brand deals and finding brands that fit me and who I am as a person and a creator. But yeah, it's definitely been a hard thing to understand and to figure out, and I feel like I'm just starting to, you know.
Do you get to pick the brands that you're kind of associated with?
Yeah, definitely. What it kind of looks like is a brand will come to you with a pitch, and you can say no, you can say yes, you can say I'll do it, but for this much, and yeah.
Is there a market for middle-aged social media influencers, by the way?
100%.
Do you think there is?
I think there is.
No, there can't be.
I think that there's a market for everything.
You think? All right.
I follow a creator who is 99 years old,
no
and
way.
she lives in Brooklyn.
No way.
And she just like vibes in New York City every day. It's crazy.
That's amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be in Nashville for the duration?
I think I will.
Yeah.
I love Nashville. This is my home now. Yeah. And I think for a while it was hard to accept that and to think, oh my gosh, should I just find the place I'm going to live for the rest of my life at 18? But I love it. I love country music. I love being around it. And yeah, I'm very happy here.
Okay. Oh, it's incredible. I love Nashville too. I don't know if I could live here because it's a lot. It is a lot.
But you know what? When you live outside the city, it's not as much. You know, it doesn't feel so hustle and bustle. You know.
Do you try to gig consistently? Do you try to do like co-writes and stuff like what everybody's trying to do?
Definitely, yeah. I co-write all the time, at least once or twice a week. And gigging, so it's actually last year, or I guess in 2022 to 2023. So yeah, that would have been last year. I was on the road opening for Sister Hazel, which was amazing. Oh. So much fun. I had a great time with them. They're an incredible band. Yeah. So I was doing that for the year. And then this past summer, I did my first headlining tour. We did 11 I think 11 dates, and it was awesome. I had Nashville Hits the Roof gigs for a lot of those dates, which was awesome, and it was a lot of fun. So that's kind of what my gigging looks like right now. It's kind of planning for touring, and then some other spots around town. We're doing Bluebird in December, which will be great. But yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Like, that's not easy, right?
No,
Getting
I mean,
that invitation.
No, but it's, it'll be my fourth time there, which will be awesome. Fourth time in a year, which has been great. So yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, wow. That's awesome. All right. Well, so I ask this of everybody. It's kind of like the shtick that I have, but in terms of curiosity, you're still obviously young, 24?
25.
25. Okay, 25, mid-20s. What are you most curious about?
What am I most curious about? Wow, that's a great question. I would say figuring out adulthood is not easy. It is not. And I think that when I look at my parents, I think everything came to them really easily from the outlook of a 15-year-old. And I think I'm just curious of how to make my life, more seamless, more laid back, less. I think for me, I stress about the little things. I stress about every little thing. Yeah. And I think figuring out that balance, and that I am curious of finding a life that's just balanced and calm, and I'm able to juggle the social media, the music, and me and my, personal life all with ease. I'm curious of that and finding that in my life.
I don't know you, but I've watched you on social media and stuff, and obviously this conversation, if you can find that, given your incredible personality and just your whole thing that you've got, like, that's going to be awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. One of these days.
It doesn't come with kids, by the way.
No, I guarantee it does not.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's on your radar anytime soon.
For sure not.
All right, good. All right, that's good. All right. Well, Erin, it's a pleasure meeting you.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. This was great.
Yeah, nice to meet you, and I would love to hear some music.
Oh, definitely. I got that.
Okay, thanks, Erin. Good for you.
Thank you.
Like, that's not easy, right?
No, I mean,
invitation.
No, but it's, it'll be my fourth time there, which will be awesome. Fourth time in a year, which has been great. So yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, wow, that's awesome. All right. Well, so I ask this of everybody. It's kind of like the shtick that I have, but in terms of curiosity, you're still obviously young, 24?
25.
25. Okay, 25, mid-20s. What are you most curious about?
What am I most curious about? Wow, that's a great question. I would say figuring out adulthood is not easy. It is not. And I think that when I look at my parents, I think everything came to them really easily from the outlook of a 15-year-old. And I think I'm just curious of how to make my life, more seamless, more laid back, less. I think for me, I stress about the little things. I stress about every little thing. Yeah. And I think figuring out that balance, and that I am curious of finding a life that's just balanced and calm, and I'm able to juggle the social media, the music, and me and my, personal life all with ease. I'm curious of that and finding that in my life.
I don't know you, but I've watched you on social media and stuff, and obviously this conversation, like, if you can find that, given your like incredible personality and your whole thing that you've got, like, that's going to be awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. One of these days.
It doesn't come with kids, by the way.
No, I guarantee it does not.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's on your radar anytime soon.
For sure not.
All right, good. All right, that's good. All right. Well, Erin, it's a pleasure meeting you.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. This was great.
Yeah, nice to meet you, and I would love to hear some music.
Oh, definitely. I got that.
Okay, thanks, Erin.
Hi, I'm Erin Gibney, and this is not something I've told my friends. All my friends told me I'd be better, and they made me promise I would never, ever think about going back to you. They stayed up with me past midnight just to rehash all our drunk fights, and they're the only reason that I made it through. I hate that I'm lying.
I'm trying. Sometimes I think I miss the pain, because we're talking again, and that's not something that I've told my friends, because I know they be right. See, you're so stupid and it ended in a fight. I swear I cried my last tears over you last year. Now I'm back in your bed sheets again, but that's not something I've told my friend. That's not something I've told my friends. Now I'm always hiding my phone. I only take it out when I'm all alone. I know they'd kill me if they saw your name. I hate that I'm lying. I swear that I'm trying. Sometimes I think I'm missing pain, because we're talking again, and that's not something that I've told my friends, because I know they be right. See, you're so stupid and it ended in a fight. I swear I cried my last tears over you last year. Now I'm back in your bed sheets again, but that's not something I've told my friend. I thought I made up my mind that I was at your place last night. Now I don't know wrong from right. Now I'll pay the price, because we're talking again, and that's not something that I've told my friends, because I know they be right. See, you're so stupid and it ended in a fight. I swear I cried my last tears over you last year. Now I'm back in your bed sheets again, but that's not something I've told my friends. That's not something I've told my friends. That's not something I tell my friends.